I'm doomed to some kind of hell, I know. Likely one with that wine.
What's the Duncan a cup, Egon? Try not to spill it on him.
Dragon House. Are the dragons, Sir Duncan?
Welcome back to Flagons and Dragons. I'm Sir Jamie of Golden Tree, and I'm back in Westeros with my squire for hire, Magnum Mills, and we're talking about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the second spin-off of Game of Thrones. And on this episode, we're breaking down Season 1, Episode 4, titled Seven.
I mean, there's a lot of great historical sevens, right? I mean, George Costanza wanted to name his kid Seven in honor of Mickey Mantle. Every CD released in the 1990s, track Seven was the best track. You had the Prince song Seven, so a lot of great sevens. We will see if this gets added into the Pantheon. And thank you for adding to our audience here on Flagons and Dragons. We greatly appreciate you checking out the show. We are presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same spot on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please press that thumb.
From this point forward, there will be full-on spoilers for this episode and all episodes of The Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This includes after shows, podcasts, articles, interviews, the whole enchilada. We could touch on some spoilers for the original novellas as well as Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, but we'll give you advance warning if it's anything major. We don't want to be those peeps. And if you don't know, now you know.
This is Seven, Season 1, Episode 4, the fourth overall episode of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Originally released February 6, 2026, came out on a Friday instead of Sunday in honor of the Super Bowl. Directed by Sarah Adina Smith. She also directed the third episode of the season, and she's directing Episode 6, the season finale. Episode was written for television by Aziza Barnes, Annie Julia Wyman, and Ira Parker, the showrunner. The short plot synopsis is: Dunk angers the Targaryens and demands trial by combat. When Aerion calls for a trial of 7, Dunk must find 6 warriors to join him in battle. Jamie G, what did you think about this one? Kind of overall thoughts, nothing specific here, but obviously second episode in a row, we end on a big moment. You could call it a twist, you could call it a reveal, but yet we still really don't have much of Dunk doing much other than kind of recruiting people, right? I mean, I always love those episodes of television, when you got to do a heist movie, something like that, you got to recruit the gang. You do it in a lot of sports movies, so I like a good kind of recruitment montage. We got some of that, but yet again, I did push kind of the fireworks factory off for another episode. What did you think about Seven?
Overall, I like the episode. I thought it was one of those ones where, it was cool, kind of the setting, right? We start off in the dark, dungeon. It's pouring rain basically the entire episode. I just kind of thought that helped like stack everything against Dunk in this episode. It's like when it rains, it pours kind of thing. And overall, I thought it was really good, man. I enjoyed kind of being able to get into some of the other characters here that we haven't had a lot of exposure to, get more scenes with Dunk with other people outside of just with Egg. So overall, I thought it was a great episode.
I mean, called De La Soul, right? Because the stakes is high a little bit. One thing about the show, we were talking about at the beginning, oh, this isn't really as, life or death, that kind of thing. All of a sudden we have the heir to the throne going into battle, fighting his own brother over kind of, the honor, the definition of what it means to be a knight. So if nothing else, the action might not be there, but the stakes have certainly risen, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think they have because, and you didn't know how they were going to level up from the way last episode ended, and they found a way to kind of level up those stakes here heading into this episode from last. So I appreciate that. I thought it was good work. A little bit of a curveball for everyone who hasn't read the books or anything with how they did it. But yeah, I mean, we're now in a fight to the death kind of situation here. So
Yeah, this was the moment as a guy who had read the novella that I was most looking forward to. There were probably three different ones, two of which I think we have gotten now. This was probably the moment I was most looking forward to when Baylor declares for Dunk, and it kind of changes, the whole situation. So it's certainly a very, very good twist here, revelation, whatever you want to call it. Overall, if you look around online, people love this episode. And I think one of the common things that I've seen expressed is that this feels more like a true spiritual successor to Game of Thrones, especially the earlier seasons than House of the Dragon, which is again, a lot more dealing with Targaryens and that sort of thing, which we didn't deal with as much in the original Thrones. How do you feel about that? Do you think this feels a little bit closer to Game of Thrones, or are they all kind of about the same to you?
I'm not willing to go there. I think there was plenty of episodes in House of the Dragon that felt kind of Thronesy for a variety of ways. This definitely did, but I'm not willing to say that it was more so than anything else that they've done in the spin-off realm. So it was there, but I'm not willing to go that far with it.
I would say more specifically, it does harken back more towards the early, especially very beginning of Thrones, with kind of when House Stark was really still, again, I don't want to get too far into spoilers, but I think Dunk is fairly about as close as we've come to a true Stark, right? We don't really see a lot of that in House of the Dragon, so I could see where people are kind of, digging that aspect of it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. We've got a noble, just good kind of person here. And there is a little bit of that, and there's some nice callbacks here too to the Andals and things like that. So I mean, you're getting some of the historical stuff, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, I think if you go back in the two seasons of House of the Dragon, there's definitely some stuff where it's like, oh man, now we're cooking. This felt really, really Thronesy, right? And so, but good job on this episode because it definitely did too.
Yeah, I think the scale is just a bit different here. I mean, there's no way this can kind of compete with, dragons fighting dragons, basically. So, maybe there's certainly more potential, I think, on House of the Dragon to have those kind of like, oh shit moments here. So this is about as good as, as big as this show can get. I don't think I want it to get much bigger than that. I don't need it to be all about, armies and the fate of the realm here, but I think the fate of the realm could, swing a little bit here based on the outcome of this trial. So we're going to have to keep tuned in for that one. You mentioned the beginning of the episode here. We get Egg kind of doing his I'm sorry thing here. When you saw Dunk with that rat, did you think he was going to eat the rat, or do you think that was his buddy?
I thought it was his buddy, man. I know he's been doing a food thing this whole season so far, but he also has a little bit of that tough guy gentleness with animals that we see with like Tony Sopranos of the world, right? Like I definitely you've seen him bond with the horses and stuff. To me, I think he was more so like this is my friend right now, and I don't have any friends kind of thing.
According to the showrunner, I think you are right. The rat was his friend, but he did do the thing like Egg comes in, you hungry? No. Egg brings him food, and dude, he just goes in on that food, man. He is just mowing down that bread. And also, Egg's outfit here is kind of interesting with the black with the red sash. It reminded me a lot of like the official kind of the royal gear that the royalty of Zamunda wore in the first coming to America. They had those kind of crazy get-ups with the big lion pelt sashes or whatever. And for some reason, I got that weird kind of vibe from Egg's get up here with the big red sash. Do you think that Dunk was really that mad at Egg? I mean, he yells at him for a minute here, but then it does sound pretty quickly like he kind of lets it go, right? I think he's a little bit upset by it, but I don't know. It just seems like Dunk really isn't that type of dude to hold grudges, right?
I don't think so, but I think he said what he wanted to say. Like he got his point across, and I think that's it. But I mean, I definitely felt the sincerity in Egg too. I definitely did, and I think if anything, like that outfit actually brought me a little bit back to House of the Dragon, with the reds and the greens and everything. So it was that there was definitely a little bit of that in there for me.
Yeah, definitely more of a House of the Dragon era, a Targaryen outfit definitely going on there. And then Egg takes him to meet with Baelor. I know just like, man, Baelor also seems like a good egg. Egg is a good egg. Baelor seems like a good egg. And that's probably one of the main differences here between this show and the two that have come before it, is when we first meet Baelor, right? He's poring over some book. I feel like on one of the other shows that would really matter, and we'd have to spend here an hour like, oh, I wonder what he was researching. And here it doesn't really matter. Maybe he's looking up something relevant, maybe he's not, but it doesn't really matter in the context of this show because we're not going that deep with it. And Dunk really doesn't go that deep with it either, right? He even defends Egg to Baelor. I really like that. Egg's right away like, dude, don't blame him. He's a good laddie. He's a good squire. So I really like the dynamic here, right? I think this is well shown for Baylor that, he knows Dunk is just a hedge knight, but I think on a certain level it does convey that Baylor is impressed with the fact that Dunk did stand up for the innocent. So this kind of sets up the big turn at the end, right, where he declares for Dunk. This is, I think, why you can like reasonably look at this and be like, okay, I get that. They laid the track for it.
They have. And you've kind of been able to see it throughout the season so far. Every time we've got a scene with Baylor, you get to see kind of the good in him. You get to see kind of the how he appreciates morals and principles and all those things. You saw the disappointment when his nephew killed the horse, and they've been kind of laying the track to your point, which set up this awesome thing at the end. But also, it wasn't necessarily shocking, but it didn't damper it at all. It was still so powerful and so impactful. But I like the way he looked at Dunk when Dunk said, "Isn't that what all knights are supposed to do?" Right? Like stand up for the innocent. And he looked at him, and I think he realized you got a point. Whether you're of noble blood or not, you got a point.
Yeah, and he had the great line too when Dunk asked if he would have done the same thing. He's like, "Well, maybe, but I get to do that. I'm a prince. I get to kind of do those things." And Baylor is another guy. We saw Egg White. He never really lied outright to Dunk, and he points that out. He just did the very lawyerly thing and chose his words very carefully. I think Baylor does that too, right? When Egg kind of wishes death, when he says, "Oh, I wish Dunk would have killed him," and he mentions like, "Oh, you can't do that. The Septons tell us that we can't wish harm upon our brothers. We must love our brothers." He didn't say I say that, right? He didn't say we as a family say that. He said the Septons like he's only doing it because that's what they told him to. So again, that ties in and tracks with his decision to go against his brother at the end of the episode.
Yeah. I like that they're differentiating the Targaryens here because you get the feeling, and if you've watched House of Dragon, obviously, and I think that's smart that they put this out after House of Dragon, you're getting to see maybe a little bit of kinks in the armor here with the infighting. And I think that's really important as they move this story along.
Yeah, I mean, these are two guys literally diametrically opposed here, and the Targaryens are accusing a lowborn of doing something. So there's a lot to this, but Baylor also pretty good at getting down to brass tacks, right? Because he basically breaks it down to Dunk like, look, you seem pretty big, fast. You had good combine numbers, but can you actually fight? What do you think here? We still haven't seen it. Obviously, we saw him. He handled those couple of dudes when he was attacking Aryan, and he claims that he trained with the rings. So Pennytree did his best training him. Do you think he's going to be up to the task here? Because Baylor seemed kind of nonplussed here, right? He was neutral at best. He certainly wasn't like, "Oh yeah, you seem like you're ready to go for this." So I think he's a little bit hesitant, which probably keys us in that we should be a little bit nervous, right?
Yeah, I think just because he's never seen it, right? And it's like, had we had a chance to see him do some lancing or take an event, take in one of the events or something, maybe you'd feel better. Maybe Baylor would feel better. But he's coming from, I also think Baylor remembers, Pennytree, and he probably is thinking, well, he wasn't very good with a sword or a shield. So what makes what makes you feel like this guy's going to be, And I think there's a little bit of that too.
And also, how can you, as a regular sized human, train somebody so big? How can you offer them a real challenge? You know what I mean? So, he's probably never been forced to go full strength or whatever. So it'll be kind of interesting if he actually has to find what his limits are. I'm sure he's really never been pushed to them. And speaking of getting pushed, it was Baylor who told Dunk to request combat by trial, right? Because Dunk most definitely did not know that. Did you think Baylor had Dunk do that, thinking that Arian would just back out? Do you think that's what he thought was ultimately going to happen, and that's why he had Dunk make that play?
I think it was a little bit Mills of column A and column B. Column A, yes, he could just back out and it would go away because he would basically refuse his stake, his claim. Or B, if he goes forward with it, depending on how good of a fighter Dunk is, maybe they can end this problem once and for all.
That is the very, very interesting take on it. So I don't know if this is something we will get an in-depth answer to at all. It might just be one that we're forced to speculate on. I don't know if it'll ever kind of be put into words what his intentions were, but I think you can read a lot into it. And Arian did seem ready for this, right? Like he pulled out this trial of the seven thing. Do you think he's got some kind of inside line to Baylor here? Was he trying to set this up the whole time? I mean, because this, Dunk. I guess everyone else seemed lightly familiar with it, but again, we hear later our guy Lionel say like, "Dude, this hasn't happened for like 100 years." So kind of a random pull for Arian to have that. To me, it kind of read like he already had this in his back pocket and was waiting for it. Do you think that was the case?
I think he's very smart and conniving, and it felt like he had a feeling maybe that was coming. And this is where you get a little bit of the Thronesy too, because maybe there's some backstabbing and sabotaging going on behind the scenes here. But I think he had a feeling that was coming, and his way to protect himself from that and get the upper edge was to do the seven, something rarely done, right? And so I think it gives him an opportunity to kind of do something no one else has done and to look at me, but also it serves, his self-interests and that it protects him from having to go one on one.
Well, as far as his self-interest, do you think that maybe he was just thinking like, look, this dude isn't going to be able to get six more guys, and it was just
I
that
think so.
simple. Like
I
he's
think
like
so.
it's more of a dodge. Like all right, like all I got to do is do this. He fails to get the six guys. I chop off the arm and the leg or whatever. We'll call it a day.
Yep. And he gets it, and he gets his win.
Yeah, he gets the
Yeah.
glory of the battle if it happens with other guys like the Kingsguard out there to protect him. So it's not necessarily a level playing field, or he just gets to chop off the arm and the leg anyway. So it's probably a win-win for him. That was probably played pretty well. It felt like there were a couple more callbacks to Thrones here. They haven't really mentioned it, but Baelor is also the hand of the king. And if you notice when he's at the table here, you can see that the hand of the king pin very prominently changes a little bit based on who is the hand, but he's definitely rocking the hand pin. And I feel like in Thrones, you have Arian here, like he's trying to crack the nuts with his knife. Somebody did that in Thrones, right? I don't remember if it was necessarily with a knife. Was that like drunk Tyrion or somebody? Like I know. Was it Bronn? I know
It
somebody
was very
was.
familiar. Yeah, it was. I'm trying to recall it, but you're right.
I
It
had
was
the
the
Hound or Bronn
bang
in
of
my
the
notes,
table.
but it feels like a Bronn thing. Like he'd be good at it though, right? Like Bronn would
Braun
do it.
would
It
be
would
good
look
at it.
real
Yeah.
cool. Like he'd pop it with the knife and it would just like shoot out and he'd catch it in his mouth like Flipper or something like that. Because that's Bronn. He's cool like that. But dude, shout out Arian when he literally made the Lord from there like get on his hands and knees to go find his nuts when they went off the table. That was just a nice little kind of subtle bit of comedy here.
Yeah, there's a few of those in this episode, and it's nice to kind of bring that back in because this was one of the more serious episodes so far, right? I mean, we got the stakes are high, and it's the pouring rain. I keep going back to that, but I think the rain had a lot to do with the mood of this episode, kind of too.
It was a dark and dreary night and a little bit damp, so to speak. So, I mean, I'll take it over the 5 degrees or whatever, though, I guess. So, I mean, water is
Yeah.
better than ice and snow. I guess we're not that far north. We don't have to worry about it. And the other callback here, you mentioned it. We got the whole thing with the Andals, and that just comes back when the Targaryens first came over as conquerors in order to try to make themselves more easily accepted to the populace of Westeros. They let them keep some of their customs, which is why you get a trial of the seven here, even though the Targaryen generally do not worship the seven. So that's just kind of one of the concessions they make, and that's why this is a thing. And Maekar, he does not really seem impressed with this, right? He doesn't like the idea that Arian is going to hide behind this, right? So he kind of gripped him up pretty good there. So he's going to go along with it because you're a dad. You got to back your kids' play, but it does feel like
Right.
Arian's kind of out on a limb here, right? Like his dad's going to protect him, but it's not like really he's on his team here. He is just doesn't seem like anybody really likes this kid.
No, I think there's obviously some bad blood. I mean, and you've gotten eggs run of it, right? Of like a little bit about why he feels the way he does, but now you're kind of starting to see that maybe this is the whole family kind of feels this way. Like maybe this is one that just isn't a great person.
And there was I know there's not really act breaks or commercial breaks here, but there's the great bit of foreshadowing when Doug's like, man, I don't know if I can get six more dudes. And Arian's like, dude, if your cause is just, good men will fight for you. I'm surprised they just didn't cut to Baelor for like a solid just 30-second, just solemn shot of him staring into the camera after that. When you rewatch it, it is kind of obvious where they're going with it. But again, I think it was really well done. And it tracks to it here. And it also sets up that, baby Baelor's got a little bit of a bone to pick with Arian as well. So, a lot of bone picking going on here. And then we got to assemble the team. And dude, I've had some bad days, man. Your team loses, something bad happens, you get some bad news at the doctor. That look Dunk had walking home, that was like the dead man walking 1,000 yard stare, right? Like that was well done. Like he was just, you could tell he's on autopilot and just like Sir Raymond just kind of saves the day, right? Shout out Sir Raymond just coming through here. Well, soon to be Sir Raymond, I guess we should say here, but I think deserving, right? He might not necessarily be the guy that's going to go out there and kill a bunch of guys, but he's Dunks like he's the one, right? Like he's Dunks like that's his guy.
Yeah, 100%. And I thought it was really cool that he was there too, because right away Dunk's worried about the horses, and I mean, again, this is unrelenting rain here. Okay, this is it's raining for real, for real, and the horses are upset. They haven't eaten, and then there comes Raymond, and he's just there for him, dude. And he's got a plan. He's got the ability to get them dry, and yeah, man, and it just slowly starts getting better from there for Dunk.
The ability to keep you dry is just slightly below a possible plan to keep you alive. I mean,
Yes,
although back in the day you definitely like could die from getting a cold or something like that. There is certainly a something to be said for
hypothermia
being
too.
warm.
Yeah.
Did you pick up like going into it when Sir Stefan like that he was going to be turning on Dunk? Do you think that was always the plan for him? Was it maybe he was honestly going to be for Dunk and then was going to just turn on him because the opportunity came up? How do you think he was playing this the whole way out, or you just think he got it offered an opportunity and took it?
I think he got offered the opportunity. I rewatched this a couple times, just kind of see if there was anything there that maybe I could pick up on with him. And I think that was the plan by Arian a little bit too, right? Like he knew that he could maybe poison the water, so to speak. And where else? He's reading the tea leaves a little bit about where Dunk can even go. The only friend he really had, and that's he's following kind of who ran in after him after when he was attacked by him and everything was the Fossaways, right? And so to be able to read the tea leaves there, I think he poisoned the water. I think his intentions were good initially until the well got poisoned, and then he thought he picked the winning horse basically to benefit himself.
After a couple of rewatches myself, I think it's similar to the way you kind of had it with Arian. Like this might be a win-win for him based on what Raymond said and what Sir Stefan says here. I think he legitimately dislikes the Targaryens. So he probably
Yeah.
does this figuring, all right, worst case scenario, I fight the Targaryens. Good, I hate some Targaryens. Best case scenario, I can go see if I can make a deal come up. So if he gets the deal, great. If Arian tells him to pound sand, then I think he just joins with Dunk. And so I think that's at least the way I'm going about it. And I think that's what he wanted. He wasn't necessarily going into it thinking he was going to screw Dunk over, but he was certainly going to explore every option to get the best possible outcome for him, which he feels is a lordship. And again, nice foreshadowing here. He kind of tells Raymond, "Oh, you're not a knight. Just wait to the end of the episode, dude. We've seen what happens here." What did you think when Egg showed up, especially bringing Daron in tow here? Did you think it was going to be kind of just that easy? Here's the reconciliation. Egg can get guys on the team. Did you think Dunk was maybe going to give him the cold shoulder? Did you like kind of the reintegration of Egg and really our first true introduction to Daron here?
I love this scene. I love Dunk's reaction. Egg? It was almost like holy cow, but also like, oh, you're back. I think that was really cool too, because again, it felt like the first three episodes of the season here, there was a real bond built between these guys, like a big brother, little brother, a love, so to speak. And so it was, I think his reaction was perfect when Egg shows up, where it was almost like Egg, but also like happy about it. And it was a great introduction to Darren too, because you get the feel that Egg's okay with his oldest brother being a drunk because and you kind of find out there when they're standing outside that maybe he has his own demons, and a power he can't control, and that's what leads him to drink and just, not handle self-medicate from the problems of the world, right? And I think Egg feels bad for him, but understands it, whereas the middle brother is just pure evil.
I think that's a pretty good take. And we've seen most of the Targaryens that can have sort of these prophetic dreams. There's usually some
Yeah.
issues that come with it, the gift and the curse. So it makes sense that he is kind of self-medicating there. I did like the instant reaction, though, as soon as Dunk sees him. Dunk's not very violent. It's the only real action he takes this episode, but he grips him up and gets a knife to his neck pretty quick here. But it's not like Darren was putting up a lot of fight. But Darren did mention one thing that was very specific. He said that he could not bear another foot whipping tonight. Do you have any idea what the hell a foot whipping is? It's one of those things I'm very scared to Google.
I'm assuming somebody just literally putting a foot in his ass and kicking him. No idea. I think
But
it's
it's so
because
specific. You just say whipping, right? Why would you say foot whipping?
yeah, no idea. He's clearly not a fighter, so I think he's just gonna lay there and take it, and somebody's just gonna stomp on him. That's my interpretation, but yeah, interesting one.
I'm trying to like maybe his mother's really overprotective and Makar doesn't want any like visible things, so they just strip him barefoot and they just whip the bottoms of his feet. That's foot whipping, right? I mean, that's
God, I
literally
hope not.
whipping the bottom of the feet. That's about all I've got here. And they also do a good job of setting up. You kind of mentioned that he's pure evil here. You get why Egg hates him, right? First, he's threatening to geld him, to basically to cut it off, to turn him into his sister, and then just drowns
Yeah.
his cat, dude. So those are two pretty bad, like cutting off your genitalia, killing your pet. Again, you never really want to wish ill upon a sibling, but Bugs Bunny would say, this means war a little bit.
Yeah, that was, I think that you kind of felt Egg in his feelings towards him earlier in the season. This put it over the edge of just like, yeah, dude, if you're torturing animals and you're killing pets and you're doing that type of sick, twisted stuff to your brother, like that's, and yes, there was an incest thing in there, and HBO can't miss an opportunity. But just the whole act of it, I think, was you really felt for Egg here, and you understand um, why he feels the way he does, and it just spoke to how evil he really is in kind of the lightest way they could do it. It's not exactly like Ramsay or Joffrey level of like evil going back to Game of Thrones, so they kind of made it lighter. But I think it got the point across of just how evil this guy is.
That was a lot of evil. Darren also had a little conversation with Dunk, but we're going to save that one for predictions. So Dunk goes from there, all right, I guess I got to find my armor or whatever. So he goes to the puppet tent, obviously kind of gets a sad moment. This reminded you a little bit of like an 80s movie, dude. He's kind of getting the flashbacks, like thinking back to all the good times with the girl. They even used not really like 80s music, but it really gave me that kind of vibe. Like, do you think that's what they were going for there? Like, that kind of legitimately like the mid, the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, where the hero in the 80s movies got to like get the girl back or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's we all love a good 80s montage and nothing wrong with that, man. I hope that's what they were going for.
Well, unfortunately, our guy Steely Pate shows up, says that Tanzel and them are off to Dorne. But he comes through. He's got the new shield for Dunk. Tanzel did manage to get that paint job done. And he even goes like full inspiring for Dunk. Dunk's kind of looking at it. It's a dark night, it's a falling star. It's like, oh, this is all death. Like, I'm going to die. It's all death. And he's like, no, no, no. See, that's a summer tree. It's all that. Dunk's like, all right. So I guess I got to pay for all this new other work you did to the shield. That wasn't part of the original arrangement. What do I owe you? And he just, takes the minute, one copper. Like that hit you right in the feels, didn't it?
Yeah, you got to love him here, man. I mean, great name, great beard. Now all of a sudden, great dude. And I actually really love this shield. I was waiting to see it. I kept, before it happened, I'm like, man, when are we ever going to see that? I thought she did an awesome job on it. And it was interesting that to him, Dunk's initial reaction was death. To me, I saw what Steely saw. I saw light. I saw life. I saw. Um, to me, it was beautiful. It represented life. So it was just interesting that he thinks of death because that's where he buried Sir Arlen.
Yeah, that's a very good thing to point out there. I mean, HBO is really missing an opportunity if they're not selling this on a t-shirt on the website right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that seems like easy money, HBO. I wouldn't expect you to miss that one. They get the cool whatnot, oak and iron, guard me well, or else I'm dead and doomed to hell. Like that feels very Game of Thrones-ish right there.
Yes. I mean, this episode had it a little bit. They even used the theme
Yeah,
song
we'll get
just
to
a
that.
little
Well, I
bit.
get that's the did they earn it? We will find out because Dunk he's got the armor on now, right? But still doesn't really have a squad. As far as he knows, it's just Sir Stefan. So he walks out. He's got the gear on, and then boom, the team's already there, assembled, courtesy of Egg, which they kind of tell us, but they don't really mention it super explicitly. Like, at one point, Dunk's like tells Sir Lionel, like, hey, good job. Like Sir Stefan brought you over, and he's like Selvin who or whatever. Like he literally doesn't know who he is. So if you're paying attention, it's probably not a huge surprise when Stefan does the heel turn, when, if you can figure out pretty easily that he didn't actually recruit anybody. But man, I like our squad here, right? I mean, we got the guy, he's got the broken leg because, Arian stabbed his horse, so he wants revenge. We got our guy, Robin Riesling. Dude, what do you think about the choice to have the chainmail with the built-in eye patch?
Yeah, big
Is that
fan, dude. I
gangster or is
mean,
that like too much?
no, a big fan. I think it's pretty dope, dude. I liked it. I was like, oh yeah, that's if you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? That was where my thing was.
Oh yeah, 100% integrated eye patch. Also makes it for a better like costume or cosplay because you can tell who it is. You're not just some random knight. So you got that going for you. And of course, Sir Lionel, I mean, we knew he was getting in the mix, right? He's just pretty much there just to mess with the Targaryens, right? It doesn't seem like he needs a lot more. Hey, we get to do a big fight and then fight some Targaryens and some Night and some of the Kingsguard here. So just double bonus, right? So shout out Sir Lionel just showing up. Every episode he brings it. We only get the one scene or two, but I love him when we get him.
Well, in they're not highlighting it, but yeah, 100% love when we get them. They're not highlighting it, but I think some of these other families know that this kid is bad news, and also they know that by doing this, it could potentially weaken that family and that dynasty. And you've already kind of heard some of these houses talk about, well, they don't have dragons anymore. Why the hell are they ruling everything, right? So there's a little bit of civil unrest happening. It's just kind of starting. And I think it all kind of goes into it benefits, benefits the Baratheon to be involved in this a little bit too, on top of the fact that he's the shits and giggles of it all that he just loves.
Yeah, again, the only downside for him would be dying.
Yeah,
And pretty much, but again, it seems like he's the kind of guy too that he's just looking for something. Like he needs that spice of life, right? He doesn't want to just sit home and be safe. Like he's not enjoying his life if he's doing it. So it's probably again a lot of win-wins going around here for just about everybody else. And then we get the big introduction. They go over and Dunk thinks he's going to roll up and they're going to fight 6-on-7. But no, Stir Stefan did the thing. Did you see this coming ahead of time, or did it surprise you the first time you watched?
I didn't see it coming. It surprised me a little bit the first time we watched. I thought for sure he had him and it was going to be a whole thing. And it was a fiery speech in that tent when he's "I got you" kind of thing, and then it didn't materialize. So I liked how they did it though, because it kind of put it all on the spot, and he had to find a way real quick.
Yeah, and I think they did a great job of making it a good twist because it made sense at the time, but if you paid attention, you could have figured it out ahead of time. And I think those are the two elements you need for a good twist. It is both believable and something, if you really looked at the whole picture, you might be able to see what was going on here. And then, of course, he shits on Sir Raymond. So Raymond's going to stay. He's going to fight with us if Dunk knights him. Dunk kind of hesitates here, but Sir Lionel's going to come through. He's going to knight him, and man, that was pretty cool, right? Just the way they shot that scene, him
Yeah.
pulling out the sword, he starts, tapping the shoulders and doing all the stuff because we got a little bit of this in Game of Thrones, but I thought this was, there's been tons of knighting scenes done over the years in movies and on television shows, but I thought this was a really, really cool one.
I thought so too, and I like the fact that the camera angle flipped, and you kind of got the up top view, and again with the way the weather was and the overcast, it was just pretty damn epic, dude. And I like that the fact that Dunk didn't do it. It felt like he's still trying to find his way as a knight. Here he is knighting somebody else. Much better for Baratheon here to do it. And I don't know. I just think it kind of worked out pretty well.
It feels like one of those things any knight can make a knight, but it feels like a knight should like do at least one knightly thing first. Like you got to like save one person, fight in a tournament, do something a little bit maybe. I mean, I know you could, but it
Yeah.
would be kind of thin, right? Like someone makes you a knight, and the first thing you do is just go make a bunch of other knights. Like I feel it doesn't have to be like, all right, you got to fight 5 battles for everyone you knight or what have you, but maybe it would be a little bit early in the game. We did see part of this kind of climactic speech Dunk gives to the royalty here, to the highborn, to the lords. He's asking them if they have any honor, all that stuff. And they've done it a couple of times here where they do the real kind of dramatic thing and just really undercut it here. And, you have the score is soaring. You think someone's going to step up, and dude just rips a fart, dude. I mean, was that again? Too much or just right? I mean, at first I was like, "Oh, really? That's a bit much." But they redeem it quickly enough that I'm like, "Okay, I can live with it." It's not maybe a choice I would have made. I didn't mind it though, but it was a little bit jarring the first time.
It was, and it was a tag corny. I guess this, and it's probably not fair to them, but this franchise has way too much going for it to resort to like that. It felt like, but they redeemed it really quickly, and I think they were really struggling for a way to find a little bit of humor to break up what was probably one of the more serious parts, certainly the most serious thing we've ever seen Dunk do yet. So I get them trying to kind of lean on that humor a little bit. I don't know that I would have did it, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world or anything. But they did redeem themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could have just had somebody shout like "Go home, Hedge Knight" or something like that. He kind of does the thing where it looks like he's going to turn tail, and he's like, No, 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 I'm not going out like this. And then he kind of come back, leans into him. Are there no true knights among you? And you see Egg kind of like you feel like Egg's like, yes, this is what I signed up for. And then the doors open, and of course, I know what's coming here. When those doors open, who do you think was riding in? Did you have any idea?
It happened so fast. I really didn't. I really didn't the first time I
Yeah, he
watched
probably
it.
had about 10 seconds to really think about it before he takes his helmet off, so there wasn't a lot of build up.
Yeah, it just kind of happened. So I didn't really. I was super curious, and when it happened, I was like, oh wow. And then it just kind of hit me all the repercussions from that. Like the dominoes that are gonna fall from that decision he made. It's a huge, mega, like, George Costanza, planets colliding, worlds colliding type of thing here because I mean there's a big fallout from that, I think, and that's what's setting up all the kind of future stories and stuff. And so I love that. I love that. I thought it was an awesome moment. But more so than the awe of it initially happening, it was like then you start thinking and realizing like, oh shit, what does that actually mean, right? So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even Dennis Reynolds is very cognizant of the implications that are going on here. And you mentioned it, man. They bring it in kind of gradually, and then when Baylor takes off that helmet, and you see Dunk and you see Egg, and they just hit the gas on the Game of Thrones theme, no notes. Just, and then we go out in it for the closing credits. Like, that's how you do it, And I think that leaving the episode with that kind of feeling, I think, is part of the reason people are so high on it because that's like it has to invoke Game of Thrones a little bit. I mean, it ends with the theme.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
help it. You know what I mean?
Right. No, it definitely does. And I thought the ending was awesome. The way he hits that horse and starts going, and again, fog behind him. It was kind of weather like Battle of the Bastards a little bit, right? With that foggy hangover and the rain and everything's just muddy and gross. And yeah, dude, it was an awesome ending. Awesome ending. No doubt about it.
It doesn't look the most visually appealing, but it saves a lot of money on CGI. Fog is
Yeah.
a big plus when you're working on a budget.
Ballin' on a budget.
That's how we do it.
All right, man. It is time here. We got to kick off the award tour, starting with our favorite alternate episode titles. Seven, yeah, it's great, but it's also a common name and reference. Maybe, just maybe, we can come up with a couple of fun alts here. Mills, shake your ass. Show us what you're working with.
Watch yourself. We do not have Danger as an alt, but this was an episode that offered a bunch of fun alternatives, and it also came out on Friday, so we had a little bit of extra time to do a little brainstorming. I mean, a couple of 90s references here. I mean, if this were a Friends episode, it would be the one without the wine. And if it were a hit song from 1991, Jamie G, it would most definitely be called Two Princes. And if it was a sequel to a Metallica song, Treason by Puppetry. It could not possibly be anything else. And if you think shit is about to get real, Jamie G, dunk around and find out. And if you're ready for the games to begin, for all that action that was promised to start happening, we've got Dungeons and Dragons. So those were having a little bit more fun. If you want to kind of be a little bit more serious, you could go with Somebody Squire, I'm for You, or Any Night Can Make a Night. Any of those stick out to you, Jamie G? Be it one of the fun ones or more serious ones. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons just sounds cool, but we do only have one dunk. I fudged that one a little bit.
Yeah, I love the alliteration of Dungeons and Dragons, but I gotta go with Treason by Puppetry. Awesome and very, very cool. Yes, Metallica, all the way there. I guess on our serious ones, I'm probably gonna go with Somebody's Squire. That one kind of rings to me. I like the S's. I like the alliteration. So I'm gonna go with that one.
And that's how it works. I mean, Baylor was somebody's squire at some point, where when you're a knight, you're always somebody's squire until you're not. And
Right.
this episode is not only Dunk, it's not only you have Sir Raymond, who goes from squire to knight here. So everyone's on the come up a little bit.
Next up on the award tour, we're going to highlight our favorite scene or moment from Seven. Mills, I'll go first here. I mean, come on, dude. It's got to be Baylor declaring for dunk, right? I mean, that was just such a huge, kind of earth-shattering moment here. It was awesome. It looked cool. It has massive domino falling capabilities here. So I got to go with Baylor declaring for dunk here.
Yes, that is the right answer. That is the one true answer. We both have the same one here. So that's definitely the winner here, hands down, no diggity, no doubt. Since we have the same one, did you have an honorable mention? What was kind of your runner up here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dunk's moment with Steely Pete. I thought with the shield and everything, that was just an awesome moment. Gave a little bit of hope, gave a little bit of light. And anytime we get a little Steely in there, I'm pretty happy.
Well, I don't want to go with the double tie. That was my first honorable mention, so I'll go to my second
Oh,
honorable
geez,
mention, and that is Sir Lionel knighting Raymond here. Now, Sir Raymond
awesome
passed
too.
away, so we got enough to choose from in this episode, so that's a good sign.
Next stop on the award tour, our favorite quotes from this episode, titled Seven here. Mills, you get to go first. Hit us with your favorite quote.
I got to go with my guy here, Sir Robin.
Sir Robin Adair, the king's faithful servant. But when the crown goes against the gods, Sir Robin goes against the crown.
A, just sounds very cool, badass. B, even more badass when delivered by a guy with an eye patch built into his chainmail. C, he is one of the few people I've ever encountered that can successfully refer to themselves in the third person. That almost always to me makes somebody look like an ass. This guy pulls it off. Maybe it's the eye patch. And then finally, I have been waiting my entire life for someone to redeem Sir Robin. The only other Sir Robin we know of, Jamie G, is Sir Robin, the not quite so brave as Sir Lancelot from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So this was a kind of a low bar to clear here, but I feel like this guy, our Sir Robin Riesling, is going to raise the bar here. So Sir Robins going forward are both honorable and awesome. So I'm going with our guy, Sir Robin of the Wine. What do you have here for your favorite quote?
Yeah, I really like that, man. I'm gonna go with the interaction between Egg and Balar here, where
I wish that Duncan had killed him.
Arion is your brother. And the Septons say we must love our brothers.
for one, you could see the realness and the honesty coming out of Egg. Where I think he really wished that, and it goes back to kind of last episode where I think when he was saying kill him when they were watching the event take place. I think he really wished the guy that was facing Arian would kill him, and we kind of questioned it. It came true here, but the biggest reason for me, Mills, was the way Balar answers this and in response to him. It's not that Egg Arian is a good man. You need to let things go. It wasn't defending Arian at all. It was he's your brother and the Septons like that's not exactly an endorsement there. And I just thought that statement, knowing how this episode ends, is just huge.
I mean, how many times in his life do you think Baylor has said to himself in his head, the Septons say we must love our brothers when he's looking at Makar and wants to kill him? Like thousands, probably. That's the impression I got. Like,
Yeah.
this is something he says to himself on a daily basis, and he's just trying to tell Egg, like, look, dude, you got a long life of doing this. This isn't going to be your first rodeo. It might not even be the only sibling you wind up hating. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Definitely a big moment there. And instead of doing rankings or handing out episode MVPs, we're changing things up for a Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're gonna do something a little different here. For each episode, we're gonna give you our dynamic duo. Mills, go ahead and remind everybody how this works.
Well, we're going to give you a knight and squire. Our knight every episode has to be our favorite from the episode between Dunk and Egg. That's why we can't just do an MVP, or it's going to probably be Dunk or Egg every episode. And then our squire can be any character, possibly a group of characters if they're all in the scenes together who are not Dunk and Egg. Only rule is that we can only use somebody twice as our squire. I will go first for this one. In episode one, my knight was Dunk. My knight was Egg in episode two and Egg in episode three. My episode one squire was Sir Lionel Baratheon. My episode two squire was Baelor. And my episode three squire was Arian. Jamie G, I gotta go with Dunk here. Very, very hard not to go with Dunk after that big climactic speech. And this is tough. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use my second share of Baelor here because I just didn't think it could possibly be anybody else. Jamie G, you've been pretty close to me this season. Episode one, your knight was Dunk. Episode two, Egg. Episode three, Egg as well. Your episode one, Squire, were the camp girls there, the redheads, the followers. Episode two, it was Sir Arlen of Pennytree. And your episode three, Squire, was Raymond Fossaway. Now, Sir Raymond Fossaway, who do you have for your knight and squire for episode four?
It's got to be Dunk, right? I mean, this was his big moment here for my night. I got to go Dunk. Him kind of rallying Finding a way, dude, believing in himself. You saw a little bit of that leadership, a little bit of that oomph coming out of him, which was awesome to see. It wasn't exactly like a Braveheart scene or anything with the speech, but it was up there, dude. I mean, it was definitely a good speech. And for for the Squire, I am glad I went with Sir Pennytree and his hog in episode 2 because you're right. There is nobody else that we could put in here other than Baelor Targaryen. This gives me access to use him one more time down the stretch here.
I've still got I got to still Lionel left here still. So there's 2 episodes left. I'm almost just penciling him in for one of those. But yeah, I think those are the obvious answers. Again, there are probably other right answers, but not according to us.
Final stop on the award tour is our episode grades. We're grading each episode of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms on a scale of 0 to 100 flagons of ale. Mills, you're up first here. Give us your grade.
Well, I mean, are we starting with 99 flagons of beer on the wall? It actually it still works. Flagons of ale also works as well in terms of the rhyme scheme. My first 3 grades have been 84 flagons, 86 flagons, 90 flagons. I've been continuing to rise, and once again, I'm going to jump it up by 4 flagons. Give me 94 flagons of ale. Absolutely love this one. This moment with Baelor was the moment I have been waiting to see the most. They absolutely nailed it, bringing in the Game of Thrones theme at the end. Just absolute chef's kiss. I actually wanted to go a little bit higher, but I'm hoping I can continue my trend of increasing my flagon content here every episode. Want to keep up that nice trend we've got going. Jamie G, you've been kind of close. You started out at 80, went to 86, and a slight step down to 85 flagons ale for episode 3. How many flagons are you distributing for episode 4?
Mills, watching this episode and doing this podcast on this episode, it's got me in my feels a little bit. I'm going to give this the highest grade I've given any episode yet. I'm bumping it up to 88 flagons of ale. You're right. It was pretty chef kiss at the end there. It was awesome. I've been waiting. It feels like you've been kind of waiting for some sort of action here since like episode 2. But it looks like we're finally going to get it. I love how they did this. The setting was incredible. Just big monumental thing happened here at the end. And again, breaking in that epic song there just works for me. So 88 flagons of ale.
All right, those are some mighty good flagons. And next up, we have what looks to be a mighty fine penultimate episode of the season. The title of the episode is In the Name of the Mother. And the short plot synopsis is Dunk's mettle is put to the test in the brutal trial of the Seven. Years earlier, Dunk finds himself drawn to the promise of a new future. How excited are you, Jamie G, to see a little bit of young Dunk? And do you think it's maybe something that's going to feel like they're padding out the runtime a little bit here and it's like, boy, I really want to get to this melee? Or do you think it would be a nice addition here to get a little bit more backstory about really, Dunk's origin story?
Yeah, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Every time they've done these flashbacks so far this season, it's been awesome, and it's helped tie in to the story of what they're trying to accomplish in the present time frame here. So I'm going to trust them to kind of land the plane with this. I think it's going to be fun to see it. We know a little bit, but we don't really know anything prior to Sir Arlen and Pennytree. We don't even know how he ended up with him, right? So I think it'll help a little bit. But man, if they make me go another episode without any fireworks, I might have to say something. They're like the master tease here, dude. Just give us a little something. Let me get a little something.
Well, unless they are cheating, we do, it looks like, see a couple of battle scenes in the little teaser here in the sneak peek. So I'm thinking we get at least a little something. I mean, do you think there's a chance here they go full on like early seasons of Thrones? Remember, it was always the penultimate episode that was the big clash, the battle, Blackwater Bastards, and then the finale was always kind of like quiet, like dealing with the aftermath of the big battle and setting up the next season. Do you think there's a chance we get more like that, or do you think it's more likely they're going to split kind of the big trial of the Seven here over the last 2 episodes?
Yeah, I just don't know what else there is. Again, there's only so much to this story, right? And so I think they're going to have to stretch it a little bit. I don't know. I think they'll probably spread it out amongst the final 2 episodes. I would love for them to just open up with it and it just goes full steam ahead for like the first like 16 minutes, 17 minutes of the thing, and then it kind of like unwinds from there, and then the next episode is all kind of like the aftermath and setting up next season. I would love that. I just don't know we're gonna. I don't. My money's on the fact it's gonna be split up.
I think they have to split it up a little bit here. And I mean, they haven't been 100% clear on how the rules work. I mean, how long do one of these take? Are we talking about 7 minutes or 7 hours? You know what I mean? So I think it could certainly depend a little bit as to how it unfolds. But I would be surprised if we had a finale with like zero action. So I think it probably makes the most sense to split it up. And what do you think? How's Dunk gonna look here? Is he gonna be at least serviceable out of the gate? Or is he going to be, the weak spot on the team, really?
I think it's going to be classic, like, like 1987, you order the WWF pay-per-view and like you've been waiting to see the dude come out and he's going to come out and he's going to get rocked a little bit at first, but then, man, you're going to see the fire in him and he's going to just start dominating. Like, I think it's going to be a little bit of that. I think you're going to see him get, it's going to take him a little bit to adjust, man. He might take a couple hits early on, but I expect him to bounce back.
I mean, is he going to go into full Hulkamania here?
I hope so, dude. I hope so. No, the only thing better than the Game of Thrones song would be if they did the Hulk song, dude. I am a real, well, I am a real
Westerosi.
Targaryen came
I
into
am
my
a
head.
real,
That's
I am a
probably
real
not right.
Targaryen, actually. I was Westerosi that I am a real Targaryen, actually. That
Kind of
somebody go
works.
ahead. I mean, that might have been more like. Let's see, I was going to give a Game of Thrones spoiler there. That might be more suited to House of the Dragon here. So we'll have to get somebody to work on that one. As far as the other targs here, how about Daron? Like he says he's going to go out just try to look really good and then ask Dunk to kind of just zonk him out. You think that's going to happen? Is he going to get killed? Is he going to get drawn into a bigger battle with someone else? He obviously doesn't want to be there. How is this going to work out for him?
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get killed, but it wouldn't totally shock me if he gets like accidentally hit early on and it actually saves somebody else, but he just falls face down in the mud and wakes up when it's all done, kind of thing. That's kind of where my money is.
So who is going to get to fight Sir Stefan here? Is it going to be Dunk or is it going to be Raymond?
I actually think it's gonna be Baylor.
Oh, interesting. Because I mean, obviously, Raymond was very, very pissed at Sir Stefan. I mean, how is Raymond going to do? Is he going to be like cannon fodder? Is he going to be the red shirt who goes out there and dies, and that's what like inspires Dunk to go nuts on people or something like that? How worried are you about
I
our guy
think you can
Raymond?
see that. Yeah, I'm a little worried, man. I mean, I don't think he's more of like he's really good at making cider. Like, I don't know. I'm worried about the
Right, he looks
cider.
like he's like top tier Squire, but
Yeah.
probably on the lower tier of knights. I mean, he says he's had some training and stuff, and you don't have to be, a monster huge dude or something necessarily to be a knight. But I think I am a little bit worried about him. I mean, how about Baylor and Makar? Are they destined to fight, or we're going to have some brother on brother action? I mean, it is HBO.
I think we are going to get a little brother on brother, and I think that's going to be a big part of this story is how that fight shakes out, and you're going to see a lot of action with Baylor. I think a little bit Baylor on nephew and Baylor on brother. You're going to get a little bit of both, and I think you're going to see some of the first dominoes fall in the backstab of the Targaryen dynasty here. I really do.
And I mean, for me, there's always, sometimes they're like, oh, if X character dies, we're going to riot. I think for me, I think it's obvious we're getting season two of Dunk and Egg. So pretty sure Dunk and Egg are going to continue into season two. But as far as everybody else, for me, it's Sir Lionel Baratheon, dude. They kill Sir Lionel. I'm rioting. Like he's one of those dudes. Like he's not, the books kind of don't necessarily stay in the same place. But if they were going to contrive a way for one character to continue on the show, for me, it would be Sir Lionel here. Is that it for you? If they kill him, you're writing. Is it Raymond? Like who's the one character here that needs to have the plot armor and make it all the way through outside of Dunk and Egg?
Yeah, it's definitely him. It's definitely Sir Lionel, but I would also say just as like a B to the as a B to that A would be Steely. Don't mess with Steely, bro. Don't mess with Steely.
Right? We don't want any like, God forbid, like a Morning Star comes off in the crowd and just kills some random dude. It better not be Steely Pate. If we're getting any, if anybody on the sidelines is getting taken down, it better not be our guy. How about Arian here? He's being set up as the big villain. Who is it that's ultimately going to kind of have the big one-on-one with him? Will it be his Uncle Baylor? Will it be Dunk, or will it be other? Will that be like where Sir Lionel really makes his metal?
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to end up being, a little bit of his uncle, and I think Dunk ends up saving Baylor and finishes the job here.
I mean, how are these Kingsguard going to handle this? because theoretically they can't fight any of the Targaryens. So how does this? I'm very curious as to how this is going to work. I feel like for some reason, we had that scene with Dunk in the couple of Kingsguard. Doesn't it feel like maybe that would feel like a decent like early kind of face off for him because we know these guys, we know they're good, but we're not really too attached to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is really the first time we've seen anybody do anything with a sword, right? I mean, so it's all new territory for us, and we really don't know how they're going to continue this into season two with what characters. So I mean, I think that kind of makes this so exciting too, in a lot of ways, because you just don't know, right? And in who's really important and who's not. If you've read the novellas, maybe you have a better idea, but for somebody like myself who hasn't, you just don't know at this point. Other than Dunk and Egg, they seem pretty much like untouchable at this point, but everyone else,
Yeah, it's hard to do, a buddy show without having the buddies on it, basically, unless you're going to change those out. And doesn't seem to be that type of program. The one bit we get that could be something that stretches into future seasons was when Daron talked about Egg. If you remember right, in the series premiere, when we saw him at the end, he told Duncan like he'd seen him in his dreams before. And here he gets a little more specific. He sees Dunk in a fire with like he's under a dragon that's dead. He does not know if Dunk killed the dragon or not. Do you think that's something that is foreshadowing for events we're going to see in this season, or could that be something aimed down the line at possible future seasons?
I think it's probably, I don't even know that it's something we're going to see in this series. I think it's something down the line, the timeline. I don't know. I kind of like with kind of like how the future, the palm reader or whatever, talked about Egg's future, right? Like I just to me, I think that's kind of like further down in there. It would be very cool if we do. If we do, I think it's something that ends up at like Castle Black. And maybe some of the old dragon skulls or something. I don't know, but yeah, right now I'm saying that is something in the future that doesn't even happen in this series.
I think that's fair. And honestly, even having read the novellas, I could say that this could probably be whatever it wants to be. It could be one of those things that refers to multiple things. It's vague enough to cover things. So I think there's a chance it could maybe be about this season, maybe be about the future, maybe be about both. I mean, that's how you like to do it, right? So it covers everything. It's a good prophecy. And I think that about does it. If you have any predictions you would like to add, please throw them in the comments. Hit us up on social media. You know the deal. There's only 2 episodes left in the season. Thanks again for checking out Flagons and Dragons, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff and on the web at dudeswatchstuff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like those flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to press that thumb.
Until next time, keep your flagons full and your dragons hot.